welcome to today's episode of Vital, Vivacious, and Visible After 50. I'm your host, Andrea Pflaumer, and the author of the book Shopping for the Real You. And you are in for quite a treat today. My special guest is Denise Lampron. Did I pronounce that right?
You did.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. um, and I found Denise, as with many of the people that I communicate with now, and it's just such a pleasure and a joy for me. uh, Through our connection through the internet. And I've been following her and very interested in the work that she does. So I want to tell you a little bit about it. Um, Her paradigm, her whole thrust is on changing the paradigm on women and aging, which is right up our alley. So I'm going to read you a little bit of her bio because I think it's so wonderful. Like her mother and grandmother, Denise has always been had a passion for color and style, and that led her to study with some of the best teachers and experts in the field of personal color theory and style and design. She began her career in this area after 30 years in the corporate world, and she became a fit model for a local designer. Whoops, I just lost your video. Okay, so
Okay.
let me pause. Oh, there, whoops,
Oh,
now I lost you again.
oh, Andrea, what's going on here?
Okay,
Um,
you're back.
I am back.
Okay, and I can edit that.
Okay, good,
Yeah,
good. As long as I know that. Okay, good.
okay. Um, in that capacity, she learned the comfort of a good fit and the pleasure of a flattering fit. And these skills served her well in her business. Uh, Prior to founding her current endeavor, which she calls the Graying Goddess, she owned Color Style Studio, a company dedicated to styling women over 50. And it was through listening to her clients and her friends' fears about aging and the dread of losing their footing in our youth-based culture that inspired the birth of her program, The Graying Goddess. Her work and her blog focuses on her commitment to the maturing woman, and her program, you're going to really love this, is called The Art of Mindful Aging, which helps women over 50 give voice to their fears of aging and guidance in establishing a bonded, thoughtful relationship with their aging bodies. And ladies, I hope you pay attention to this because this is so crucially important.
Mm.
Um, I'm going to let Denise talk more about this now, but I just want to go ahead and welcome you, Denise, to Vital, Vivacious, and Visible After 50.
Thank you so much, Andrea. It's such a pleasure to be here.
It's a joy to have you.
Ooh.
Um, so you began your career as a stylist after 30 years in corporate America, and I'm very interested to know a couple of things. First of all, that's a big transition,
Yes, it is.
and especially at our age, that's a big
Mhm.
transition. What
Yes.
inspired that, and were there some skills that you brought from the corporate world into what you did as a stylist?
You know, that passion, as you've indicated, it was always in me. I held that passion for color and style all the time working in corporate America.
Yeah.
And what happened was I was working with a lovely woman here in LA, and every time I'd go for a session, she was just stunning. And you know what it's like to be in the presence of someone who just sort of has it all together. You know, they, as you do, and
I'm in the presence of one right now.
as am I. And it just amps up. I mean, everything is in Technicolor and you light up and you respond. And so
Yes.
she did that for me for months. And I began to think, hmm. And I asked her, I said, what is your story? What have
Yeah.
you done?
Yeah.
She referred me to her stylist. And I went to see this woman who's an LA guru of stylists, really very good. Jennifer Butler is her name.
Uh,
And I went to her guest event. And in that guest event, she did all sorts of wonderful things. And as I sat there, Andrea, I realized this is really my calling,
mm.
and this is something that I can do. And so at that point, the passion that I was holding inside of me sort of jumped outside of me. And I began to find a way, as often happens when we find that intersection of possibility and passion.
Right.
And I found teachers, and it went from there. And
Interesting.
knowing that I could create a life from that, I could make a living helping others. So
That's
that's
wonderful.
how it started.
And were there skills that you brought from your world, from the corporate world, that helped you establish that?
Well, if I look at skills as we look at them, it was probably problem solving and organization, which
Oh,
helps
great.
any business. But if I really think about the the skills that I brought, I would say maturity, being an older
Mm,
woman.
I love that.
There's just something about having lived your life and sitting in your wisdom and your knowledge uh, that really bonded me to women over 50 whom I wanted to work with in doing this work.
Wonderful.
And I also think that knowing corporate culture, having been in it for so long, and understanding what a woman who survives corporate culture really
Yep.
survives and what she wants from her life and what she needs to be successful in that culture.
That's great.
And so it was very helpful to have come from that, bringing that
Wonderful.
forward.
So now you're in a third role for this wonderful project that you call the Art of Mindful Aging, which I love that title. Um, and and the reason I love that is because it implies um, awareness rather than victimhood. Oh, I'm old, you know.
Yeah.
So, share a little bit about this project and some of the tenets of it that you use to work with older women.
Well, the original title for my program was Living Your Beauty, Becoming Ever More Fully Your Glorious Self as You Age. That was what I originally, it's a mouthful. And when I when I beta tested the program, so much richness and depth was coming from the responses of the women, the meditations that we went through, the homework that they did, the field work that they applied. Such depth came from that, and it had nothing to do with their physical beauty. And so I wanted to capture that process in the name of my program. So I began to think about what would really be a name that would honor that. And so I had lists and lists and lists, and I thought it's got to
Yeah,
be simple. It's got to be something that speaks to people.
right.
I believe in art, and I believe that aging is an art. It really is an art form. And I wanted it to be conscious, and it speaks to being powerful as opposed to being a victim. So I sort of strung those concepts together, and I thought the art of mindful aging was something that would deliver itself over to women in a
That's
way that would
beautiful.
be, thank you, that would encourage them to go there, to speak their truth, to find their fears, to face their fears, to their body, to do all the things that I think are really purposeful and helpful at this time in our lives. And so that's how it was
Absolutely. That's
born.
beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you.
So, and your website is now called The Graying Goddess,
Mm-hmm.
which I love because we're all
Mm-hmm.
graying.
Yes, yes.
Now, this is interesting because when we hear the word goddess, uh, it has certain connotations. We think of movie sirens from the past or contemporary women in the public eye who are almost a caricature. But I want to know your definition of a goddess and how we as older women can understand and embrace that concept of what it means to be a goddess as we age. Can we be a aging goddess?
Oh, indeed we can. I actually think, Andrea, that the word defies definition.
Hmm,
When I think of goddess, goddess is the flower that's blooming in your garden at the moment. It's the woman that's giving birth right now. It's nature. It's the curl in the wave on
mm,
the ocean.
mm.
That's really what goddess is. So it's not, are you a goddess? It's more, are you participating in this energy, in this flow that is taking place constantly? You're in it, whether you know it or not. So you are a goddess. And I know that's a concept that's difficult for some people. So what I do when I'm working with women is I turn their attention to nature, because that's what will begin to resonate with us, that we are a part of this, that we
Yes.
are walking with the goddess all day, every day, and that bringing yourself to it is the definition, as all that is. You are a part of that. And so if we want to define it, as difficult as it is, it's Andrea, it's
Oh,
Denise,
mhm, mhm,
as we are.
mm.
And one of the ideas or concepts that I like is that God is the dance hall or the venue, and the goddess is the dance. And I know that you would like that.
Yes,
God
absolutely.
is the dance. You know?
So in other words, we're not a noun, we're a verb.
We are a verb that's constantly flowing. We're in a process. It's a consciousness. It's a way of being, and it's happening all around you. Step
Yes.
into it.
Oh,
Be
I
a part
love that.
of it.
I love that.
Mm,
So we're going to get down to some of the fundamentals here because part of that has to do with self-care.
mhm.
And we know that self-care is important at every stage of life, but
Yes.
it becomes even more front and center as we age. So, and particularly in the Western culture, where we tend to exhaust ourselves as we get
Yes.
older.
Mhm.
And I also want to make sure that as women are exploring the ideas of renewal or constant renewal as we age, we want to make sure we don't burn ourselves out. So what can you say about self-care as we age?
Self-care is such a big, broad topic, and as you know, and as you've said, that it's difficult for women. We're raised in a culture that says we're to be available at all times for our children's, for our partners, for the cell phone, for the job, everything. You know, we just give. That's
Give,
who we
give.
are. We give. And one of the most important things I think to learn about self-care is that we can't give what we don't have. So if we're not full, think of this. If we're not filled up, we're giving from our tissue. We're giving from our
Good.
body, okay? And so we're giving something that we don't have. So that's kind of where illness and dis-ease begin. And
Mm,
Carolyn Mace talks beautifully about
right.
this, that you have to give from the overflow. And
Yes.
it's vital as we get older, the wisdom in us, the wisdom we carry in our bodies will begin to tell us, oops,
Mhm.
you're getting close. And so it now behooves us to listen to our bodies. Wait a minute, I can't do this. Maybe it comes across as I don't want to do this.
Mhm.
You will begin to notice these whisperings that come to you about what is no longer serving you. Please,
Yeah.
ladies, listen
Yes.
and begin to understand that it is your time to be all of you. All of you. Everything that you've ever been is now present, and then there's more to come. So cultivate that. And it may look like, Andrea, it may look like when you go to bed. It may look like what you eat. It may be more of a vacations, planning vacations, so you know you have built-in self-care. It may be giving voice to your relationships and setting boundaries with your family, which we know is so difficult to do. Everyone has got to find what works for them and
Yes.
what their self-care plan looks like. And I strongly suggest that it is a plan. And if it needs to be a calendar on your desk that you fill in once a week, that's fine, however you get there, to be able to ensure that you have it, because otherwise it will not happen.
That's right.
I know that. We all know.
Yes.
We don't do it, if we don't take care, it's not going to happen.
That's
So
right.
it's an efforting that needs to take place.
That's right. Because our habits, lifelong habits, hard to break at any time, but particularly as we get older. And so this is creating new habits.
Yes, it's creating new habits and knowing that with a little effort, you can have that. And as we get older, there's a radiance that comes through. There's a beauty that shines and a wisdom, and all that cannot really come together without self-care and
Absolutely.
well-being.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Mm.
We're going to get into a little topic because you suggested to me something you wanted to speak about, and I just went over the moon about this because it's something that I just absolutely love. I'm going to pull it up down here. Um, you use the term wabi-sabi, which is a
Mhm.
Japanese term,
Yeah.
and it's something that's fundamental to this project and to your process. So I want you to share with our viewers what wabi-sabi means and how it fits into being a graying goddess.
Ah, this is, oh, where do I start? You know, the first time I heard this term wabi-sabi, the art and practice of honoring the imperfections, I heard it from Arielle Ford, and she was
Oh,
using it in the context of relationship. And I was listening to one of her tapes, and she was talking about your partnership and how over the years it winds to where it is going, and it moves and shifts and travels around, and to honor where you and your partner are now. 10
mhm.
years in, 15 years in, 30 years, whatever it is, there's this patina in the relationship. And to stop striving to make it someone else's relationship or even make it what it was
What it was, right?
20 years ago.
Mhm.
And that crack in the relationship, whatever that is, to really honor that. And I listened and listened. I thought, oh, this is a wonderful concept that I can use in my program for aging, and particularly with respect to the body. And so, what I do is I take women through a meditation, this wabi sabi meditation, where they have an opportunity to travel through their body and to visit, you know, the weathered face and
Mhm.
the sagging breasts and the asymmetrical hips. These are all things that have taken us through our life's journey, some good, some bad, and here we are now. We're still here.
Yeah.
The fact that we have a body means we know we're alive. And so, how can we continue to honor that in a society that we both know, we all know, is youth obsessed? And how can we come to terms and be honoring of this wabi sabi concept of I am imperfect and beautiful, holding those two
Ah,
together?
ah,
That
I love that.
that's what I'm up to, and that's what I want to give women is it's not over. The journey is still going, and please do honor that process. So that's how with it.
I'll tell you, this is so powerful on so many levels. First of all, the fact that you first became aware of it in relation to partnerships, but it's meaningful because a lot of older women are single,
Yes,
either by divorce or by choice or by widowhood. And
yes,
this is a wonderful way of reconnecting with their own soul.
yes.
So I think that's beautiful.
And that's what comes forward as we age, our wisdom, our heart, our soul, and to really be in partnership with that no matter what else is around.
I'll tell you a little quick story. Very innocently, I posted a photograph of Dame Maggie Smith and Judi Dench. It was taken a couple of years ago when they were both around 70. And British actresses don't get as much work done as
Mhm,
we do in the US. I think they may have had some slight things, but it really doesn't look like our aging actresses do. And I just posted a little thing and I said, this is on Facebook. Uh, uh, no wild outfits, no plastic surgery, no heavy makeup, no big artifice. We just love and appreciate them for who they
mhm,
are.
mhm.
That post got 16 million views
Hurrah.
and more than 30,000 comments. I can't tell you how it resonated with older women who
Mhm.
just 99% of them just said, "Yes, thank you,
Yes,
thank you."
yes.
Interestingly, the ones that didn't like it were young women who said they were offended that we would judge them for trying to stay to look young. And I feel that's so sad in our culture.
Mhm, mhm.
So,
Robbing us of these richness, the richness that lies in acceptance and surrender.
yes.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hopefully, I honestly, I mean this in my heart. I hope that what you're doing radiates and echoes out to the entire culture that we have so that we make a shift in this culture to understand and appreciate what it means to age and to honor that.
Thank
That's
you.
wonderful. Um, well, so I mentioned the two women. Are there women in the public eye, or do you have stories of women that you have worked with who inspire you, and why? Can you think of any people that you've worked with that have really got it?
I think women are getting it more and more. As you know, I live in Los Angeles, and it's really hard
Oh,
to get
yes.
in Los Angeles. It is really difficult. It's difficult to get a lot of things in Los Angeles, but it's starting, and women are really wanting to have a platform in which to land with their aging. I admire and respect anyone who is courageous about what they're doing. And that takes me to a number of people. Elizabeth Gilbert, I love what she's doing.
Mhm, mhm.
Oprah Winfrey, Tina Turner, Meryl
Oh,
Streep,
yes.
Sojourner Truth. There's just on and on and on. With respect to my work, there are a number of women, just the women that would come to me and say, Denise, I'm evolving. I'm changing
Ah,
as a woman. And what how I presented myself before is not congruent with the presence that I choose now.
oh,
And
beautiful.
I just find that beautiful, that, and that's with aging. I want to show my gray hair. I want to be present with who I am now. The one really, when I think of her, it almost brings tears to my eyes. She's a young woman, an American woman, who wound up in, no, I shouldn't say wound up, she married a man from the Middle East, and she lived in the Middle East. And she stole away in the middle of the night with 5 children, come back to the United States. And she was beginning a career in the media to talk about some of her experiences, and she came to me to prepare to be in the media. I will never forget that story. So that is an extremely profound one. And I hold her in my heart, and I hope that her story is travels far and wide, because that's one that needs to be told too. And Andrea, every day, the grandmothers that I see taking care of their grandchildren, the women that I see driving in morning traffic at 70 years old to arrive at an office that doesn't honor their institutional wisdom, I admire their courage to keep going.
Courage.
Yes, so courage is front and center for me, and I find it all the time.
That's so beautiful. Um, so I want to read to our viewers some of what you wrote, and then I want to have you share with us how people can get in touch with you. Um, Denise writes, the goal at Grain Goddess is to cultivate a mindful and creative approach for women to age on their own terms. This idea to age on our own terms is wonderful. It gives us power. It serves women at their core so that they can age with honor, respect, and awe. The art of mindful aging involves embracing your wisdom, gathering your gifts. I love that. And celebrate aging as an opportunity to be explored and not a problem to be solved. It's fantastic.
These are opportunities to explore.
Yes. So, Denise, tell us how people can get in touch with you and how do you work with individuals?
They can get in touch with me, graingoddess.com and graingoddess@gmail.com.
Okay.
And I Through the program, women can work with me either one-on-one or they can do the program online. It's whatever works for them. I'm really all
Great.
about fitting the program to the person rather than
That's
the.
great.
Mhm. Absolutely. So, a consultation, we'll figure it out,
Right.
whatever works for that woman.
That's so wonderful. Well, this has been a total delight. I know people are going
I,
to get a great deal out of this.
such a pleasure. Thank
It's a
you.
pleasure for me too, and I'm very grateful that you were willing to join us today on Vital, Vivacious, and Visible after 50. I'm going to have to change the title since I'm, much closer to 70 than
As am
50.
I. Yes, yes.
So, Denise Lampron, thank you so very much for joining us today.
Andrea Pflaumer, thank you.
Welcome.